Oh man, there he goes. Oh yeah, we're finna have some good conversation, bro. So like, want to dive into everything. I know like you've kind of now I'm not sure because we haven't talked in a while, but like it says you exited, so I definitely want to like touch on that. Find out what are you into nowadays. I know a lot of people usually like exited companies, find free time for their hobbies or whatever. So, but yeah, I guess if you could just introduce yourself, kind of give us a rundown of what you do, what your company does, where you from, and then just we'll get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you guys for having me. So my background, my undergrad's in computer science. I did consulting at Deloitte right out of undergrad for like 6 years. Quit, went and got an MBA at Berkeley, and while I was at Berkeley, I came up with the idea for LiftEd, my company that I just sold. Started it in 2015, went to market in 2016. And it's essentially like instructional planning, progress monitoring, and learning analytics for kids that have autism and related cognitive disabilities. So we sell our solution to schools and districts across the country. Started it with my sister. We scaled up to like 10 employees, a bunch of offshore remote folks. And then we sold it in June 9th. So just a few months ago. And they took on our team. So my sister and I, she's my co-founder, came over. We're now directors of the company's called Central Reach, and we're still building LiftEd. So they bought our intellectual property. They basically like bought us as subject matter experts, and we're taking LiftEd to market now with just more resources. So more people, more money, a team that's like 4 times as big. And then we're also leading their K-12 special education strategy. They have like a suite of products that supports like curriculum assessments and adult transition for kids with learning disabilities. So it's a ton of synergies between our business and theirs. They're the global leader in autism services and technology. So it worked out well. And I was going on 7 years. So it's like about that time when you transition.
Right. Hey, congratulations, bro.
Yeah, for real.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so my brother was talking, we was talking, bro, like before you joined. It's like I never how did you find this space exactly? Like how you went into education? Was that something that you were always like interested about? Or was it more so, you just saw the opportunity, you were like, man, I really want to like dive in there and see if I could get some value out of it?
Yeah. Good question. Definitely the latter. So I mean, I grew up, like my parents are Jamaican immigrants, so they put a high value on education. I think just any immigrant family does, because in other countries that opportunity isn't always afforded to you.
Right.
So I've always been like top of my class, blah blah blah. My parents would come out of pocket anything to send me to UT and all these schools. So I think I had like a subconscious interest in education, but I didn't like explicitly go after this opportunity. Like I didn't go to Berkeley thinking I was going to start an ed tech company. What happened was I was visiting my sister in Jersey. This is in summer of 2014, and she's a special ed expert. So she has her doctorate in special education and applied behavior analysis. It's like a behavioral intervention method to use with kids.
Right.
And she basically said the short of it is come spend a couple of days with me before you go to business school. Like we're on opposite sides of the country. And while I was there, she took me into a summer program for children with pretty like moderate to severe needs in elementary, first grade, second grade. And I just saw how they were doing things. And she literally was like, can you build me an app to move us off paper for all this progress monitoring we're doing and spreadsheets and all that jazz. So that was really like the genesis of it. And then while I was in school, I can get into this, but while I was in school, I took the idea and just ran with it. I didn't do any internships. I didn't go full time anywhere else. I was basically like not really going to school. I was building LiftEd.
Dang, you were building all that from scratch, or did you go out there and kind of grab the team? I don't know how specialized you are in tech, but when it comes to building an app, you got to have your front end developers, your architectures, your UI design. So What was that process like for you? Did you go out there and, reach out to offshore developers, gather a team, or you kind of just started diving in and learning it and doing it yourself?
Yeah. So when I was at Deloitte, I was in their technology practice, and my role was I was technically a senior technology consultant, but I was primarily doing UX design. So I was going like on site to our customers like Johnson and Johnson or Adobe, and typically designing some type of like CRM or a similar software. So I had a lot of experience designing software already, and I basically had like sat in a product manager role when I was at Deloitte, but I was just doing it at our clients. So like Hewlett Packard, Adobe, Office Max, all the big names I was designing software for. So when I got to school, I will say that like I think the default is when you want to build something, you think I got to go out there and get like an engineer if I don't have the skills. And I would argue that you shouldn't put like a line of code to anything until you've talked to a significant enough number of people who are experiencing the pain point you think you're trying to solve for. So we didn't, even though I designed LiftEd's first iteration, we didn't start doing any type of design or even like looking for an engineer until 6 months later. So I spent the entire fall of 2015, and we had interviewed 132 or 134 special ed teachers, therapists, behavior analysts from across the country. So that's what I was doing most of the time. It was customer discovery. And then we realized that this has some legs. It's not just my sister's problem over in Jersey. It's a nationwide thing in special education. And then I went out and started getting people recruited. Berkeley has a pretty strong engineering program. So we recruited our first CTO from Berkeley. And then over the years, we were just adding people. We've used Upwork, we've used contractors. So that was the original start.
Bro, but like, you make that shit, hold on, make that
Not
shit sound
easy.
simple. Because I'm struggling with the same shit right now. So like, when you actually go ahead and outsource, like I know there's a lot of people who want to start businesses, right? My girl, she got this business idea that she wants to do with the ingredients. She wants to do an application. She thinks she's found like a niche market. And the next question is like, oh, okay, now I need to go ahead and find out like the right developer. In your case, you went back to your like alma mater or whatever, that network, and reached out to people. Like, did you get in contact with a department? You was like, okay, maybe this route is gonna be best if I reach out to this department, like set up, hey, LiftEd is looking for XYZ, right? Or you just started like reaching out to people on LinkedIn, like what was like the process like?
Yeah, so I'll answer that, but let me just ask you a question. With your girl's program, she wants an app developer for what? To create an app to
Yeah,
like.
so like she's into clean ingredients, right? And the thing is, there's not really anything that touches on that, but because it's they have different APIs, right, for ingredients, but a lot of companies, and I don't know much, but I'm gonna tell you what she's kind of told me. A lot of companies actually end up switching like the ingredients over time for a product. So for instance, I'm drinking like Suja, right? It's like an energy shot, and it has really clean ingredients, but maybe later on they start adding different ones. So she wants to have a continuous database where that's getting updated on the app. Focus only on supplements right now too. She only wants to focus on supplements and like vitamins because she's very big on vitamins and how that can like affect your lifestyle. So there's like an app called Yuka, but she claims it's actually pretty bad. It's not that great because they just kind of use a standard baseline of what's good, and they don't do continuous changes to the data that's coming in. I don't know what API they're using, but that's what she wants to do and kind of like close that gap. Because I told her that I try to look for like clean vitamins, right? But I struggle, bro, because for vitamins, there's two pain points. Like I'm trying to get into that clean shit, and it's very hard because I don't know how to identify them. I don't know if there's one source where everything is just gonna be clean. Second, the price point. There's so many different price points when it comes to vitamins. So she wanted to control for the price and control for the vitamins all within like one platform.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I asked because I think like the tendency, and I didn't forget your question, I'll go back to it, but I think the tendency is you have this concept, you have like a few people that are like, yeah, this could be dope if the price is right. I don't know where else I would find this information. So like you immediately want to figure out how you go design an app. and you haven't really thought through like the business case on why you need an app versus like you build the prototypes very cheaply. Like this, I could see this being a Google spreadsheet with a ton of the nutrition items, links to the websites where you can purchase them, the price points, cross comparisons. Like you can do that in a Google sheet, you can do that in a typeform.com. You can throw up like a Weebly site. So like you don't want to go invest money in before you validated that the pain point is so excruciatingly painful that like I'm willing to pay you even $1 to actually get access to this content. So that's what she needs to go test.
Mm-hmm.
And I can do that. Like, don't worry about a finished product. The hardest thing to do is get someone to download another app on their phone. So I almost always discourage people from going the app route unless you have like a very true use case for it. There's like some things you need to do on native. There's some things you need to access within the OS. But like generally speaking, like throw up a web page that says click here to get the nutrition. This is my background. I got a ton of stuff. Or it's like a $5 price tag. And when they click it, it says, oh, we're not available yet. We'll send you information when our product is live. And then you know someone's willing to pay $5 for this. So you've actually proved something without actually building anything. I'm always buying it, but I do think that like with all these no-code website builders, you could literally, if she knows the brand name, she has certain products that she's already identified for, you know, different nutritional aspects. She's got price points. Like connect the Google form to a Google spreadsheet and tell 20 of your friends to go check it out and see if they give a shit. And if they do, then maybe do something.
Right.
Angela, what was the other question? Sorry, I got kind of derailed.
No, so I think that's very good, bro. I think what I do want to dig in a little bit more. You said you got to find out a pain point that's like excruciatingly, damn, I can't say that word. Excruciatingly like very painful.
Yeah.
When do you know you've kind of come across that point right there? You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's actually a very good insight. Like for me, you know, building out my business, I think I have a pain point, but kind of you just said, no, it has to be excruciatingly there. Like, how do you come across that for your company?
Yeah, so I think it comes out of those interviews. So like you got to just talk to people and describe the problem that you see in the market, see if they agree, number one. And then if they agree, typically that means that they're trying to solve it themselves, and to what degree they're trying to do that. So to give you an example, like with LiftEd, I knew they were doing data collection and progress monitoring, but they were using paper and like pencil. So like say the student got 10 out of 10 opportunities correct today with a verbal prompt, like level of assistance. And I take that data from all 10 of my students across an entire day of work. You're talking about a stack of papers that I then go put into a spreadsheet. I run I do some graphing against those numbers so I can see the students' learning trends on a trend line graph. And then based on how that student's performing over a certain amount of time, like say 3 weeks, the chart's going down, I know that something's wrong. And I use that to drive how I'm teaching the student. Like maybe I need to give him more support. Why isn't he picking up this skill? Whatever. So like, I knew that they were doing this and they were already struggling, spending hours a week with paper and doing spreadsheets. And like when COVID strikes, then what do you do when someone's learning from home? So like, you'll quickly find out from them directly, this is a problem that I think exists. Do you agree? If yes, then like, what are you doing right now to solve it? Whoever your customer is. And maybe they're like hitting 6 different systems. Maybe they are not doing anything. And it doesn't necessarily mean your idea is not good, but it means you need to find the segment of users for your thing that it's so painful for that they're trying to solve it themselves. And it's usually like a spreadsheet or a Word doc solution that they've built. And they're like, oh, this would be dope. I'd pay you $5 for this. And then you figure out like what that archetype is. So like for us, we have special education teachers, therapists, behavior analysts, and each one of them has a different like pain point. And we knew from the jump that like the behavior analyst and the teacher had the most pain. They were spending the most time on paper. So we hunkered down on them. We didn't even build anything for therapists. So I think that's how you got to treat it. Like find people who you think are a good customer base. And then after you get off a 15-minute coffee chat with them, just be like, yo, can you introduce me to one of your friends? And do that. You don't even have to do it 100 times. You can do it 20 times. And you can see if you're hitting 19 out of 20, then you're onto something. If you're hitting 2 out of 20, then maybe your solution, maybe the problem's real, but your solution isn't it. So.
Right. Damn, that's good. It's very good.
Pretty much automating the experience. I think that's you did a really good job at that. Kind of just automating the experience to where these therapists, these people working in that field don't really struggle with the daily task. You know, they can be more productive doing other things when everything is being, you know, graphed and, you know, tracked through your software, through the app. I think that's something we need to look into, Gio, and your girlfriend too. Is kind of like automating the experience. I feel like if you can automate it, it's definitely where you can hit that point and be like, okay, you're making my life easier. Now I can do other things. It's just the convenience of it.
Yeah, but at the root, I would also argue like finding, you know, for business, anything in business, finding the need, kind of like Drew said, there's no point in automating something if the need is not there.
Yeah.
You feel me? It's like there has to be a market need. So, Drew, like, you know, as soon as you started growing your company, bro, how was that experience? Because I know y'all grown, and correct me if I'm mistaken, but y'all had over like 300 employees. That's just got to.
I wish.
Y'all ain't had
no.
Okay, because I was looking at y'all's LinkedIn. I know y'all had like hundreds or some shit like that.
I mean, we've scaled up and down over the years.
Okay.
But at any given moment, like the peak number of full-time employees has never been more than 10. But we've had a lot of contractors over the years, like probably only 50 or 60.
Okay. Well, how has that been, you know, like managing the different, you know, personalities of people? Even like, I think selecting people, that's a very hard skill to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, people could always come up to an interview and kind of like bullshit you. If you're offering equity, you know, hey, as part of your compensation plan, people are going to want that. So like, how do you actually see through that and, you know, get the right people with the right leadership skills and whatnot?
Yeah, that's good. I admittedly have never been great or even I would say good at hiring. And like being a great judgment of character. My sister is much better at it. She just has like more EQ than me. But I would say like early stage, if I were to rewind like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the way we got the initial engineer on board was we fleshed out. Have you ever heard of the business model canvas?
Yeah.
So we fleshed out a business model canvas. We've done 100 interviews. We understand the problem. We understand the solution we're trying to build. And Andrew even spent some time and started designing some iPad screens. So when I'm going up to an engineer, the conversation, and I found them because I was involved in a lot of entrepreneurship stuff at Berkeley. So there was like a bunch of clubs and events that I was going to, and I met this dude. But you don't want to come to like an engineer or a designer or a contractor and be like, yo, here's my idea. I need you to build it. Then it's not like a partnership and someone's just going to charge you for that. What you want to do is you want to bring someone in at a level of like respect and almost leadership. So what we did was Joanne, myself, and his name was Nathan. We signed what's called a founder's agreement. It's like a non-binding like document that says when and if we do issue equity, that we're each entitled to a third. And I think people tend to like push back. They're like, yo, this is my idea. I'm not giving anybody a third of the equity. An engineer is an engineer, just go build it. But I would caution against it, especially when you're building software. Like you're more likely to get someone to jump on board and feel like they're part of the team. And you're splitting a pie that doesn't even exist yet. So just go a third. If you want to bring someone on full time, he had another job, so he was just like doing this nights and weekends. I was like, perfect. I'm in school. It just worked out well. I mean, I recognize that like most people don't have that network of engineers just like floating around a campus. But you know, graduated from UT, right? You can tap back in there. Upwork, I've used a ton. I get contractors from Upwork all the time. $40 engineers. You gotta be a little careful if you don't have any experience designing products or managing products because they're gonna expect you to like do that and they just build. But either way, you can either go to contractor route, pay $40 an hour, or you can try to establish some rapport with someone and say, we'll just split the pie. No one's getting paid. We're just building right now and testing the market.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's something we're currently kind of struggling with as well. It's really finding those folks who are interested, or our main one is the technical aspect of what we're building right
Are you guys, where are you in the process, and are you trying to find an engineer?
Yeah, I think personally, I know that's the right answer, right? Like you can't build a business without a CTO who could build everything from scratch. Like we've been doing offshore for the past few years, and there's a lot of challenges to that in terms of like you can't really time the market, but if you're too late and you have that gut feeling, usually, you know what I'm saying, that you're going to be too late, that's not good. So we're getting to that space where time is of the essence. And I think I really, need to sell this idea to somebody. I actually heard a really good quote. It was like, I was talking to a VC and he told me that I was like, I need more funds, right, to expand and, keep doing this product or whatever and, spend on some more offshoring. He was like, why do you need the funds? I was like, to get a developer. He was like, you don't need a developer. I was like, what you mean? Like, I left my job. I need funds. He was like, how about you go sell yourself to a CTO? He was like, just like you used to look for a girlfriend, you need to go sell yourself to a CTO. And that actually stuck with me because that's the honest truth. We can make all these like excuses. Oh, I don't got money for this. I don't got money for that. I think there's two things to validate. First is the market hypothesis. And then second, you can't really build out a solid product, if you want to build something in technology without a CTO. So it's like a truth that's there, elephant in the room we haven't really addressed. So I'm really trying to get going on that,
Yeah. And he's right. I mean, I don't know that you need a CTO. You need someone who's not a junior engineer. You need like a senior engineer who's built products and seen them ship like version 1. CTOs tend to be like overkill at early stage. They ultimately, like, if you have a CTO skill set and you've been in the game 15, 20 years, you're probably making stupid money. And the only reason why you would do something like this is like they believe in you and the idea and they're going to help you hustle on nights and weekends again. But you should hit up Josh.
Oh yeah, I definitely. He actually has something he's working on. I actually talked to him about when did I talk to him? It was like about a month ago. I went to do an episode with Ricky Soto, so we was talking about Josh. But yeah, he's working on his own thing. He definitely gave me some good advice too. Before starting out the iteration. So I think we're moving at a good pace. If anything, right now my main focus, dude, is really like validating market hypothesis. And this goes out to like all the people who are really doing business. I think personally, if you can't validate that, I think I validated it in one aspect, but if you can't validate it in multiple ways, there's really nothing. And you got to be honest to yourself, to like really like be humble and be like, there's nothing there. How can we pivot to a different area? So that's really where my focus is at right now. And I'm honing that focus.
Yeah. And I think like your last point is crucial. You might be right about the problem. And if you validate that, then don't be tied to your solution. And that's really hard to do because once you start building, your ego's involved, you got cash involved, and you're less likely to say, like, this thing isn't the right thing. I'm just going to keep on iterating and working through it. And you might just have the wrong solution. So it's like, I can run really fast, but it doesn't matter if I'm running in the wrong direction really fast. So absolutely validate the problem. And then it's great if your solution actually people are willing to pay for. But, usually your first iteration, man, like you just trying to get something out into the market and get people using it and get the feedback and iterate from there. I was gonna say you should ask Josh for just some referrals. So he used to work in like engineering cohorts and knows a ton of people that that'll probably be a better bet for you than like you go like a contractor route, Upwork route. They operate on an hourly basis, so the expectation is that like you're gonna keep pumping me work and I'm gonna keep charging you. This isn't like a collaborative effort. It's like tell me what to do and I'll build it. And that's not what you need. You need someone who's like at the ground floor with you.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Andrew, I have a question. So you sell your company, you build it, you sell it, and then, with all that, some money comes in, right? So, you have this money. How do you go about investing it or allocating it in different opportunities, investments? Because when you build such a big company and you sell it, I know you're sitting on something, right? obviously. So I want to know, what's the process now for you? Are you looking for financial advisors, or what are you doing? Are you kind of like spreading apart and looking at other ideas? Are you allocating money in portfolios, or how are you managing your financials at the moment?
Yeah, so I actually just I'm terrible with finance. I'm probably a good customer for your app. Whenever you guys launch it, to be honest. I can build like forecasts and revenue models, but like keeping track of what I'm paying for groceries every other week or whatever, I'm just like, I just don't want to deal with it. So from an investment perspective, I took two approaches. One is I'm married, so my wife and I joint accounts. She's the family CFO. So we just like, I automated everything. So, at the beginning of the month, what's coming out of 401k, IRA, what's going directly into savings, what's going towards this credit card bill or whatever, and then whatever's left is discretionary. So that was like number one. And then number two, we got a financial advisor from Ameriprise, and we use that relationship to do the investing for us. And then we just play with the risk level in Ameriprise. And then three, we're putting money in the ground. So we bought a crib in Florida for a rental property out in like Tampa. And we're trying to find more opportunities like that. I had a Polaris. Y'all familiar with the Slingshots, 3-wheel vehicles?
Oh yeah. I see them all the
Bro,
time.
them hoes be in Houston everywhere, bro. Like,
Yeah. So my brother and I started that company in Florida. It's called SarasotaSlingshots.com. And we scaled up to like a fleet of 8 Slingshots that we were renting out for like anywhere from 150 to 400 a day. And I was investing money into that. And now I'm just like, if I see people come across who are looking for like angels, I didn't strike it rich with this deal by any means, but we did all right. Then I'll look for opportunities like that. But before I sold LiftEd, I was like actively trading. I was doing options. I was in crypto heavy. I was on my phone like 3 hours a day, just looking at charts. And then now I just like, I'm trying to lead a team to a $20 million annual revenue in 3 years. So I just don't have the time for it. So I'm basically like, my wife, you handle like the daily, and then our financial advisor takes care of the rest. And we're just doing like simple long-term plays for the interim until we're ready to get like more risky.
Yeah.
I think that's a good approach, bro.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm curious to know, for your Slingshot company, are you renting those directly? Or are you putting them, like, for example, on Turo as well? How is that going?
I wouldn't do Turo. We never did Turo, so I built the whole platform. I'll put it in the chat. Y'all can see it.
Oh, this is like a website and shit?
Yeah.
Like,
so I built this platform in 2019. So we just do direct to customer. When we bought the Slingshots, we just did the diligence on Turo, and Turo is like, for a lot of reasons, I don't want to like go down the rabbit hole, but generally speaking, you're going to a marketplace with other cars. So you don't want, someone to have to be like finding you among other Slingshots or other like Lamborghinis or whatever.
Right.
Traffic directly to you. So that, and most of the Slingshot companies buy brick and mortar. So they'll go buy like a office space where they can park the Slingshots. And now you've got like a $3,000 overhead. And you haven't really like, this market is super interesting. Like time of the year, who your customers are. For us, like Florida is year-round sunny. It's like 5-year-olds and up who have money out the ass. So we knew from the jump, like, we're going to charge $1,000 deposit just so you don't wreck our thing, go out here wilding out. We're going to say you got to be 25 and up, and there's no cyclicality. So like, you can rent it in December or you can rent it in August. It doesn't matter because it's Florida. So we do everything through the website too. We actually never even got a storefront. We keep the Slingshots in a private garage, and when you book it online, there's a complete automation workflow. They get like a code, they go to the garage, they put the code in, they get another code. There's a key box drilled into the back of the Slingshot, It's an Igloo key box. They put that code in, the key comes out. They send us a picture of their license of the car, and then we can remote start it. And we've got full GPS.
Dang, that's lit.
That's
Automated
live, right?
experience. I'm telling you.
Yo, I'm telling you, that was like one of my proudest accomplishments. We're actually like,
Golly, that's dope.
we're winding it
Bro,
down.
so like, wait, was this was not like, this was just like some side project shit? Or you was really thinking about the whole strategy and it just like came around? Because this shit sound like y'all was thinking about it like, you know, for some time.
Yeah, a little bit of both. Initially, it was like my brother lives there, so he was just telling me that the market is perfect for it because there's a mix of these old folks who have money to spend, they won't even blink an eye at $1,000 deposit, and then there's like young folks who are like 27, 28 coming down to Siesta Key Beach. That's the #1 beach in the country. So there's a lot of bodies there, and we initially were just like, yo, let's get like 2 slingshots, let's try it out, and then over a couple of years we got up to 8. And we were literally about to sign a lease agreement in a mall in Sarasota like 2 months ago, like a $300,000 lease agreement for 3 years. And we were about to blow the business up and like 2-3x our fleet. But I'm scared of the economy. Like when the economy tanks, the first thing that goes out of the window is like, leisure activities. And that business is also like, you need a lot of debt leverage because you have to finance the slingshot to like 30 grand a pop. So unless you're just sitting on $200,000 in cash to buy slingshot inventory, the business is more complex than we realize. So that's why I like had to put my business school hat on and be like, oh, like we do need a strategy for this. But it initially didn't start that way. It was just like, let's rent them out. I know how to build websites. I can figure out how to get this thing drilled into the back of the slingshot. Let's see if people want to pay for it. And they did. And then really like in this past year is when we started thinking about strategy.
All right. Bro, so you just said putting on your like MBA hat on. I've been thinking about like business school, and I know there's a lot of folks like in our audience too who think about business school. Like, what did you get out of it? You think it's really valuable? Is it worth the cost of going?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would say it's worth going. I think at a bare minimum, like if you're gonna go study hard for a GMAT and like join an organization like Consortium or MLT that are their organizations.
What are those? What are those exactly?
Yeah, so MLT is a program for like just people of color, like Black and Hispanics, where they're helping you prepare for business school. It's called Management Leadership for Tomorrow. And basically you apply to get into MLT. You have to take like a pre-test. You have to take a practice GMAT and like clear a 500 on it. You get into MLT and it's like a cohort of 500 people who are all applying to business school in the next year. And MLT gives you a coach. It helps you like, build your essays and figure out your school list and where you might be a good fit, blah, blah, blah. And then they work with Consortium, and Consortium actually gives, through the Consortium, schools can give full rides to people who are Black and Hispanic. So I didn't pay to go to Berkeley, I got a full ride. And the Consortium has that for 25 schools, the top 25 schools, except for Harvard and Stanford. You can get a full ride through the Consortium. So like Michigan, UCLA, Berkeley, USC. I would say it's worth it. If you can get a scholarship, I wouldn't have taken on $120,000 in debt because I have debt from undergrad. So I wouldn't have went had I not got the scholarship. But
Right.
You don't go to business school to like learn how to do models because you're gonna forget like as soon as you graduate. You learn like enough to be kind of dangerous and have conversations with people like CFOs who can go build models, and not me doing it on a daily basis. I think the biggest thing is the network, bro. Like Berkeley is 300 students. So I knew almost everyone. And that having that Rolodex, people graduate from top 10 schools and they're going to the best companies in the world. So at a minimum, just like the social experience, the networking, and then great, I get to learn. And if you want to build, the schools like Harvard, Babson, Stanford are really good for entrepreneurship. So I saw it like, I can quit my job. I can figure this out. Like I can start a business maybe in these 2 years. I'm not paying to go to school. I had to take out some loans to like live, but I'm like, this is a 2-year playground for me to figure out what's next. So that's my last point is you should be clear on like timing wise. I think you need to work so you're at least like 28, 29. and then go apply for business school. If you come in too young, first of all, you're probably not going to get in when you're like 25, 26. It's really hard to get into business school. You need more experience. I was like one of the youngest in my class, and I felt dumb as fuck every day because I just didn't have the experience as my classmates. But yeah, you should do it, man. I would strongly consider it.
Live, yeah. No, I personally gotta like focus on my business first. You know, I really gotta I've been saving, bro. Like I'm a very radical, not even a saver. I'm a very radical investor. So it's like majority, I say like 70% of my income went to investments, and I build a pretty good save. So it's like now it's kind of like, okay, I got that cushion. I understand what I'm doing. I kind of got this, you know, market space that I really think has been overlooked. Gonna make it shake for 2 years, live off whatever I got. And then after that, we go to business school. You know, it's like, if anything, it kind of just sparked up my journey a little bit. Like at first, the first month, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm about to do 2 months since I like went full time. First month was kind of like, oh shit, I really don't got the security. I just started working at KPMG. They was paying me 130K salary. You know, it felt good. I got the first paycheck, and I was like, and then like I left that, and I was like, oh shit, I don't have that coming in no more. So it's kind of like I had to kind of like do some internalization. And now it's kind of like, okay, we're back on this journey. I'm kind of like about to make shit pop off, because I've always think, you know, shit, if I find something and I feel it in my gut that it's really there, I think I can make it work. So that's how I feel with Wind.
Do it, bro. Like you said, I can have probably another opportunity like this where you have enough savings to get by on. And if you don't burn the boats, like you give yourself a plan B, that's when you fuck up. So don't even give yourself the plan B. Just focus on what you're doing now. And if it doesn't work, it's a lesson. If it does work, then great. Either direction, you put yourself in a good position for business school because you have a story of what you did over the past 2 years.
Right.
True. Still put it on your resume.
I had that on mine. I started like a web design agency. I did like maybe 2 websites. That shit was all my resume. They had no idea.
Yeah, that's a fact, bro. That's good. That's good. I'm definitely gonna take that advice. I know. Like I've been talking to a lot of like older heads who've been telling me it's kind of the same thing. You know, I think the people who have the skin in the game tell you that, right? Because I've talked to other people who don't really got the skin in the game, but they try to give the entrepreneurship advice. So it's like I don't know if I really could take that.
Yeah, you either got to be all in, or you gotta put your money where your mouth is. I think it's easier to be all in, but if you're not doing either one of those, like you're not putting bread into a venture or you're not putting in sweat equity, then you're not really doing this entrepreneurship thing. You're just talking about it.
That's a fact.
Dang. Anything else you're working on that's that you can, you know, maybe give us a little info about that you maybe 2-3 years from now or anything?
Shit, he got to get to 20 million in revenue in 3 years, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Any big plans? Where do you see yourself?
Yeah. So our company's doing really well, and we're profitable, doing like 9 figures in revenue. So I'm gonna stick around probably for at least a couple of years. I want to see my equity through. Typically, when you join companies like this and you get equity, it's on a 1-year cliff and a 4-year vesting schedule.
Wait, what does that mean for the audience?
Yeah. Sorry. So, and this comes from startup world. When you get equity in a company, you have to stay for at least a year. That's called the cliff. And then after that year, you start earning that equity over a 4-year period, inclusive of the year you just completed. So like only 3 more years after. And you earn your equity over 48 months. So let's say like someone gave me 10% of equity over a 4-year vesting schedule and a 1-year cliff. It means from the day I start today, a year from now, I'll hit my cliff, and then I've earned 12 out of 48 months worth of my equity. So whatever that math is, 12 divided by 48.
Yeah, so like 2.5 ownership every time. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
And you start accruing it on a monthly basis. And then typically, depending on where you come in like what stage, founders are usually getting RSUs, restricted stock units, where you're not actually like you immediately own that equity. Whereas like employees typically come in and they get stock option grants. And that means like you have the option to buy these shares at a certain fair market value price. So if someone gives me 100,000 shares, the fair market price is $1. That means I have to cough up $100,000 in order to buy those shares, even though like they gave them to me. So
Right.
I don't have stock options, but I have like a similar structure with my current company. And right now the business is doing so well. I'm enjoying the work. Like I'm gonna stick around. I've actually been trying to cut down on the side hustles because there's too much to maintain, bro. We have an Amazon dropship store, a property.
Yeah, I saw that. And then, bro, you be working out like extra hard now. You hitting like 2 days and shit, running fucking marathons and shit. Like that shit takes time,
bro.
dog.
So what I'm telling you is, like, and you know this, like that's how I keep my sanity and like my mental fortitude. If I don't work out for like a few days, I'm just moving different. So I have to. And I think just posting it on IG that keeps me accountable. But yeah, 2-3 years, I don't know. We probably will be in LA, maybe working for this company still, maybe not.
What's up, man? Yeah. And then you pretty good. I mean, my bro's saying that you're saying that, you know, you work out a lot and stuff like that. Anything else you do on the side to kind of just keep your sanity and stress-free since you got a lot going on?
Yeah. Well, I have a therapist. Also have a product coach. Well, I'm recruiting for a product coach, like a leadership coach. So I encourage everyone to do therapy, number one. And then I practice meditation. I feel like most people try or they kind of do. I'm not like super consistent, but I do. I think honestly the thing that helps a lot is reading. So like not only are you learning from reading books, but it just allows you to build a sustained focus on something when there could be a million distractions around you, or you're like bored, and like avoid falling asleep while you're reading. And I think if you build that skill set, like how do I hone focus for a long period of time? Because you're doing like 10, 12, 14-hour days in startup world. You got to figure out how you do that without like popping Adderall or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's real. And I know from experience where like I got burned out when I was doing business school and I was popping Addy and I was like just trying to keep up with the work. But if you don't like pull out, take time to read, to run, to work out, play, like the first thing that goes out the door is like, are you still hooping? Are you riding your bike? Like you have to get out of the work world every day or you're gonna like fizzle out before you even, you have a product. And I learned that the hard way, bro. I had clinical depression twice.
Bro, I'm laughing because I was just in the studio yesterday, 2 days ago. I was in the studio till like 3, 4 in the morning, but I really be rapping, bro. I've been rapping since, bro, how long we been rapping? Since I was in elementary, 3rd grade? When we started. Yeah, so like I was like doing some flows, but I was telling him, bro, I was like stressed out because I'm the only full-time worker right now. My shit, they're not full-time, so like I be feeling overwhelmed sometimes because I won't get off the computer like doing work. If I'm not building content, I'm strategizing, and sometimes strategizing is too much planning. But I try to at least like be thinking 10 steps ahead, right? So I was overwhelmed, and I was like, man, I'm finna go to the studio. So I was in the studio with Tony Woodard, and we was cooking up some shit. Yeah, we was cooking up, man. Like that shit. I'm gonna send you some shit so you can see it. But
yeah, I like that, man. You gotta break the day up. Like we're not machines. We can't work.
That's a fact.
On the end like that. So that's dope.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, bro, I really appreciate you for coming on and shit. I know we're here a little over time, but definitely got to do this again. I really like our podcast. We've been trying to do like more, in person. The one we did with Ricky Soto was so dope because we was drinking wine, bro. We was popping bottles and that shit was fun. So definitely got to come out to New York sometime.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always here, so y'all more than welcome. Just hit me up.
That's a bet, bro. Well, appreciate you for the people watching the podcast. What is the name of y'all's like business, the Slingshots, or if you want to give a shout out to that, whatever?
Yeah, so I'll give you 2 websites. My company's website is the LiftEdapp.com, THE lifted LIFTED app.com, and then our the Slingshot business is Sarasota SARASOTA slingshots.com, all one word.
Already. All right, man. I heard it, man. Appreciate you for coming on, bro. Yeah, we're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah, appreciate y'all.